So, coming to the investigations overview, for simplification purpose, we could think of it as a three-tiered approach. That is, in the first tier, you have the immediate workup, including sending blood samples, emergent imaging, and monitoring. That is, you have to do a continuous EEG initiation within 1 hour. Second tier would be CSF analysis, lumbar imaging, lumbar puncture post imaging, showing a routine which is cell count protein and all of that, and advanced for a PCR for viral autoimmune paraneoplastic panels, and also find any other occult malignancy, like by doing a whole body PET CT or CT chest, abdomen, pelvis, pelvic ultrasound. So, in brief, initial workup containing whole blood or serum for full blood count, bacterial and fungal cultures, serum IgG and IgM testing for atypical organisms, a nasal or nasopharyngeal swab for viral panel, and CSF for cell counts, protein and glucose, bacterial and fungal stains, PCR for viral etiologies, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and an autoimmune epilepsy panel. In case of immunocompromised patients, in addition to the above, we could also be looking at IgG for Cryptococcus, IgM and IgG for Histoplasma, and CSF to look for silversine for CNS fungi, PCR for JC virus, cytomegalovirus, Epstein Barr, influenza A and B, and stool for adenovirus PCR and enterovirus. And then, as per the geographic or seasonal occupational risk, we could be looking at other things like serum buffycotin peripheral smear, Lyme enzyme immunoassay, hepatitis C immunoassay, and the serum testing for acanthamoeba, Balamthi, and other parasitic infections. And then an autoimmune panel to look for specific antibodies. So this is both serum and CSF paraneoplastic and autoimmune panel to look for antibodies against the NMDA receptors, the AMPA receptors, the GABA receptors, and in addition to that, the ANA and ANCA antithyroid antibodies. Neoplastic etiology is mentioned earlier, a CT scan of various regions, and if we don't find anything from that, then we go ahead with a whole body PET CT. Apart from that, the routine metabolic, BUN, creatinine, LDH, liver function tests, ammonia, urine, porphyria, aspirine, and toxicology to rule out any benzodiazepines, amphetamine, cocaine, fentanyl, alcohol, ecstasy exposure, and also genetics. Usually, mitochondrial disorders are prone for this kind of seizure picture. So, a MELAS or a POLG1, such a thing, and cytokine assay. And in the MRI brain, there is usually non-specific abnormalities with a specific sign known as the claustrum sign. So this is seen in cryptogenic fires in children as a claustrum high signal on T2 flare and DWI. So it is as seen in the image over here. There is a normal apparent diffusion coefficient without a contrast enhancement. Coming to the EEGs, there's no specific diagnostic or prognostic EEG markers, but it is seen in a retrospective study in children with fires that there are three common early patterns. So it starts off with initial infrequent seizures, then it becomes a status epilepticus pattern where there's a beta delta complex, and mostly what they have reported is periodic discharges, and there are also multiple seizure patterns seen, that is generalized, focal, and multifocal. So in case of this delta brush pattern, what happens is it is classically seen in anti-NMDA mediated encephalitis. There is a slow, low frequency rhythmic activity, that is your delta 1 to 3 hertz, with superimposed bursts of fast spindle like beta activity, which is of 14 to 20 hertz. So, on top of the delta, the beta waves are superimposed. And also, we see periodic discharges, generalized and lateralized. Generalized is what we see commonly with the status epilepticus.